constraints. How much of that right are people able to exercise in seeing and having their vision intact?
Yeah, when it comes to vision and right, I would say, yeah, it's every person's right to good vision. And it's also every person's right to have access to good vision. And the most challenging thing here is having access due to cost, due to availability of the service, due to distance from where you access such. You find out that more than 60 or 70% of Nigerians live in the rural areas. And for the fact they live in the rural areas, also you find out it might be also very difficult for them to have access, most especially when you find out that eye care is not really readily available in the rural areas, especially when it comes to Nigeria. Yes, we have medical centers, we have community health centers, but what you ask is whether they are available clinics, eye clinics, whether they are available in those areas. So if they are not available, of course, the right is deprived. But as an association, we are doing a lot in order to ensuring that members of the public, women, children, the less privileged, have access to easy access to eye care. For instance, at this, especially at this period, when we are marking our 50th anniversary as an association, the association started as far back as 1968. Okay. We have remarked a lot of activities, especially with respect to providing easy access to eye care among children between the ages of 5 to 14 years. And we are using about 150 clinics across the Federation, and manned by optometrists, and they volunteered actually to ensure that the children have access to comprehensive eye exam and also treatment. So they are not being charged anything. So we actually launched it in Owerri, that was in March, and it will run till December. Okay. December this year.
Before we get to the nitty-gritty of where people can actually now go to seeking, they're seeking access to good health care for the eye. Let's find out those functions. Of course, yes, everyone knows, okay, if I look at you now, I'm seeing you, but there could be some constraint for me in seeing clearly, making out what exactly the colors of your suit, or some other distinct features that should see. There are constraints. What are those things? Are there activities, or could it be lifestyle, or some any other thing that could actually inhibit me seeing, or any other person actually?
Of course, especially in temperate region like ours, in sub-Saharan Africa, for instance, you find out that our temperature here, due to the sun rays, they are very harmful to the eyes. You can see a white man here without putting on sunglasses. Most times you see somebody wearing sunglasses, I say, why are you wearing sunglasses? Are you having a problem? I mean, you tell some people they term it in so many ways. But actually, in a temperate region like ours, there is no reason why one should go out under the sun without sunglasses.
So it's a protection.
Yeah, it's a protection. It protects the eyes, because ultraviolet rays can actually cause damage both to the lens of the eye. The lens is a transparent material that is in the eyes that helps to focus rays or image to the back of the eyes. The ultraviolet rays can damage it. They can even go beyond that to damage the retina where this image is focused. Okay, so it's very, very important that we protect our eyes. So with respect to hindering vision or things that affect vision, sunlight is one of it. And of course, we are quite exposed. There are a lot of other conditions. You mentioned cataract when you started.
Yes.
You find out that there are more cases of cataract in Africa, especially in.
Why is it so?
Yeah, because of the ultraviolet rays. It affects the lens. It can easily affect the lens of the eyes, and also cause damage to it. So that is prevalent more. So of course, and then also it could also be genetic anyway. Okay. There are other conditions that could also impair vision, like what we call refractive error. If one is not seen very well due to refractive error, image that is actually supposed to be focused at the retina and then be sent to the brain is not well focused. It could, it's like we call it error of refraction. it could actually...
So what causes this error? I'm sure, let me find out what you're trying to describe in the first instance, at least for our viewer.
Yeah.
What causes this error? To say is refractive
error.
Okay.
Well, there has been a lot of proponents, a lot of things that have been ascribed to that causes it. But the one, it could be inherited.
Okay.
It could be as a structural state of the eyeball itself. It could be the focusing mechanism, the ability of the eye to focus very well. It could be developmental as one is growing.
Exactly, because I was going to ask, does it just happen suddenly or something?
No, it could be
gradual?
It could be developmental as one is growing or getting older. There will be some changes in the, just like the skin changes, the hair changes, also the eye changes as well. So you find out that maybe when you are young, you don't use glasses to read, but as when you get 40 and above, you
that is your first birthday gift as you enter 40.
So that alone is a refractive error. Okay, so that inability of the eye to focus very well is, I mean, we call it a refractive error, and it could be easily corrected at cheap rates. With a pair of glasses, it could be corrected, and then the person will have his or her vision.
Will you now go off the glasses after being corrected?
When we say corrected, it means once you put on the glasses, your vision becomes good.
That is one thing some of us don't like to hear.
The other things you can also use, apart from glasses, you can also use what we call contact lenses, which you can also put into that. Nobody even know you are putting on anything.
But so caring for those one too is another way. If it's not sterile, to actually take care of it. If you don't have it clean enough. Those are some of the complaints for the users of such.
Yeah, we teach the patient or the patient how to use it. There's no big deal about it. It's very easy to handle, and it's also affordable. So of course you have options whether you want to use contacts or even go for what we call laser surgery in order to correct such errors.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Chenjo, I know there are several things that you will have seen from your patients, from the regular to the ugly to the bizarre in this to the eye, especially when traditional means or some other kind of orthodox means are actually put. I'll share a quick story. One of the days I had to go out for a report, and I was coming back, and close by at the bus stop, I saw this vendor actually talking with some members of the public, and behold, what was it he was trying to do? He had almost everything that could cure, but he had one man who presented himself, and he had to put some particles. I actually practically watched that. It was so morbid for me that I had to say, okay, really? And I took shots of that, and whatever it was that was put in his eye, he had this cotton board being used to clean whatever the substance, and something came up like cobwebs and all of those ones. How harmful are some of our practices, from breast milk to some other things you could have heard of? Share with us, Doctor.
Very, very, very harmful. From breast milk, urine, stool, some even go to the extent of...
My director just whispered sugar.
Yeah, sugar. Yeah, sugar. Even up to today, breastfeeding women use breast milk. They use sugar on their babies when they find out that the eye is actually either red or discharging. There are a whole lot of things that is practiced out there, but they are all very, very harmful, and they could actually cause irreversible blindness, because the eye is very sensitive, especially the outer part of the eye is very sensitive, and once there is any damage on the outer part, the part we call the cornea, I mean, that vision is gone. And for you to restore that vision, if it eventually affects the outer part, you have to do what we call transplant, and it's not really available. So we encourage members of the public to avoid such practices. They are very harmful, and they could, once vision is gone, it causes a lot of things. It affects the livelihood, it affects the economy, social, psychological. Of course, you know what a blind person goes through. So we try as much as possible to discourage it, and we create awareness on that, and ask the members of the public to desist from indulging in unwholesome and practices that will actually endanger their vision.
Okay, Doctor, when we'll come back from this, we'll take a pause now. We want to feel the pulse of the public. Earlier on, our correspondent actually brought in some views from Nigerians on their own way of caring for the eye. But before we go to that, now I know you, earlier on at the onset of your presentation, you made mention of people, especially from this region, temperate region, hot of course, using sunglasses to help themselves. Now, I still see some people wearing, maybe beyond the heat period, getting to evening time, still wearing such sunglasses. Is that still ideal? And what exactly should go into the kind of sunglasses that you should make use of? Because we know ours is a very hot weather. Yeah.
Apart from using sunglasses, there are different types.
Yeah. You don't just go to buy them.
Yeah, you don't just
go to buy
the eyeglasses. Yeah, if you go, along the street and you pick one, it's not so good, because they come in different qualities. And also, it's also good for you to be prescribed. Why is good for you to be prescribed? That's what we call photochromic lenses, and then that's what we call tinted lenses. Okay,
so which is the different one now? Photochromic?
Yeah, and then ordinary tinted lenses. Okay. The photochromic lenses are...
What does it do for us?
Our glasses are the ones that when you put it on, and you go under the sun, some people on these glasses now, it's a photochromic lenses, but you won't know that it's photochromic lenses, and you can see my eyes.
Clearly.
Yeah, but when I go under the sun, it will darken. Automatically darkens to reduce the amount of sun that enters my eyes and reduce ultraviolet rays from entering my eyes. If I come in here again in a dark place, it brightens up.
Wow.
So I don't need to remove my glasses anywhere I go.
So you sleep?
No, especially when I'm going to bed. Especially when I'm going to bed. Then there's what we call the tinted glasses. Okay. In tinted glasses or tinted lenses, there are grades of tinting. If you don't have, photochromic lenses are more expensive than tinted lenses. So if you cannot afford photochromic lenses, you can decide to go, let me go for tinted lenses. But you can have different grades of tinting: low grade, medium grade, moderate tinting, and then of course higher. But
it should be prescribed.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it can be prescribed. Okay. And then you can also have one that is not highly tinted, not so dark that you can use. Okay,
and you look out for such. Of course. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chendu. Like I pointed out earlier, we'll go on a break. Hopefully we'll be joined by your colleague optometrists, and also we'll take the responses from Nigerians on how they think they should care for the eye. That will all be on, so we're back from this break. You're watching Nigeria Today. We'll be right back.
Most of the habits that most people are engaging, especially the youth of these days, that damages the eyes, has to do with maybe reading in the night with their phones. And you know, the ray from the phone is so bright, it can affect the eye.
When you put sharp objects in your eyes and using maybe self-medication, you have eye problem or something wrong with your eye and you don't want to go to the doctor for prescription.
One has to avoid, hitting his eyes on sharp objects like nails and other metals like that.
Too much of staring on a system, like staring on a computer, can cause an eye problem. Then, for those that swim, your eye is supposed to be protected with eyeglasses. That's the swimming pool glasses.
Thank you for joining us again. Yes, respondents are there on the street talking about care of the eye, and that is our focus on Nigeria Today. And like I promised, I was hopeful that our second guest will join us and already seated. I'd like to welcome Dr. Eke Okechukwu, who is also an optometrist. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Bright eyes. So what is the secret? Okay, I know for everyone had been... some are blessed, having good vision, and some are being challenged in one way or the other, whether from infancy. Now, what are those greatest threats to the eye that you've seen in your own profession so far?
I would actually take a preventive measure first. Okay. And let me go from that angle. Okay. You know, there is this popular saying that next to life is the gift of sight. And importantly, people should understand that why they actually go to the hospital or to the clinic is not because they have a problem, but because they have eyes. So the first thing I think basically anybody should do should be to visit your doctor. Visit an optometrist, the primary eye care professional. There are other professionals, the ophthalmologists are there. Try and have a visit, and they would actually ascertain how healthy your eyes are. And when they actually know, okay, you have this problem, you have that problem, they now know how best to handle the issue. Now, secondly, I would also look at people. You know, there's this notion everybody is a doctor. You know, they love self-medication. And if anything happens to you, they rush to the hospital. They don't even rush to the hospital.
For those who go to I was just sharing one example with Dr. Chendu just now. Okay. Go ahead.
So basically what they do is like they just go to the, maybe the chemist or the pharmacy shop, and they just buy anything. They just say, I have a red eye. There are like more than 5 things that can actually cause a red eye. And self-medication is a no-no when it comes to eye care.
So at least before I let you go further, I know for self-medication, you just said something. There could be anything that could irritate your eyes and cause it to go red.
Yes.
Such as?
Such as allergy, trauma to the eye, and foreign body sensations. These are common things that can actually make your eye go red. Then if you also have an infection, it could actually be a bacterial infection, a viral infection. So these are also different things that will make your eyes to go red. So it's important that your doctor would actually look at it and know exactly what is happening to that eye.
All right, so before I still let you, both of you, I've called you optometrists. Yeah. Now, you're talking about, let's say, ophthalmologist. Who is an ophthalmologist? Who's an optometrist? What's the difference? I just thought, okay, I must go see somebody who can actually check my eye.
Okay.
What's the difference?
The difference is an ophthalmologist and a medical doctor that actually does his residency in ophthalmology. Okay. Now, an optometrist, I would say, is the primary eye care professional who is well equipped to handle eye issues and also prescribe medication as well. Now, they actually train for an impressive 6 years, you know, to study the eye, and they are also well qualified to handle the issues of the eye.
And such can graduate to the ophthalmologist. All right. Okay, back to how to actually care for the eye, which said next to life is vision of sight. For everyone at a particular stage, we're talking about once you get to age from 30-something these days even, and I even have seen some younger children even up to the 20s, and it's more like maybe it's genetic, like you have said, and I really feel bothered. So this young child is going to wear these glasses still. So kingdom come. Yeah. So are there things that we should do? Let's already talk about preventive aspects. What other things do we need to do in terms of, like I said, lifestyle? Yeah. Is there anything that we could eat or at least do to keep some of us away from these glasses, actually?
Yeah.
I know it's your job.
You see. Yeah, well, if people don't come, we will still make, there are so many, it's not just glasses, there are other ways of it. You see a whole lot of lifestyle we indulge in that actually affects our vision. Like currently, as things are advancing, you find that a lot of people are involved in reading, computer work, near work.
Phones.
A whole lot of near work.
In fact.
You use screen, you use that. All these activities also affects the functions of the eyes. And of course, close or near activity for a long time could actually lead to refractive error, as we said, yes, or even getting the eyes weak to the point that it will not be able to accommodate to see things clearly. Okay. So we advise that in such cases that such persons, if you are reading, for instance, you take a break.
After many minutes?
Yeah.
People could sit for hours?
Yeah, you take a break. Say you take a break after, let's say after 20 minutes, you can look at 20 feet, you take a break, look at 20 feet for 20 seconds, and then go back. You look at 20, take a break, after 20 minutes of reading, you take a break, look at 20 feet, that's about 6 meters away, or even at infinity, to relax your eyes, to relax the eye muscles, and then you can go back for, say, about 20 seconds, and then you can go back to your reading. And then even with use of computer and all work.
And phones, especially. I know children who will be on that phone playing games for several hours.
Just a computer, yeah, of course.
Into the night.
Into the night, they do that. And they wake up, some of them wake up with red eyes, some wake up with headaches, some wake up tired. And even to go back to what they're supposed to do, they will not be able to do that. Okay. So it's very, very important. There are a whole lot of things that we do. Even smoking also affects the eyes.
Really?
Yeah, smoking, alcohol, excessive alcohol intake, excessive smoking. These are lifestyle activities that affect the vision. Even the sports we indulge in, if you are involved in a very sport that is very that involves aggressive activities, you need to protect your eyes, of course.
Okay. But how often do you get to see Nigerians coming to just check without it actually going bad already? Yeah. Is this something that is done often from time to time? Okay, I just come in to let me have my eyes checked. Let's check it.
Actually, it's actually advised that at least every 9 months, or some authorities will say a year. But I think every year it's actually ideal. Then basically they actually discover there's something wrong with your eye. Now your physician would now tell you when it's more appropriate for you to now visit. Okay. Now for people that might have like an increase in an ocular pressure, the doctor might say, okay, you might come every 3 months so we can review your eye pressure to know when it's going, and it's going to cause you more harm. So it's actually a good thing for people to check their eye at least once a year. Okay.
Yeah, if I may come in there a little, I'm sure you're also asking about whether people actually go to check their eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know that much. I will ask you, I said, when last did you check your eyes?
I did in March.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, I did in March. No, I think even in March.
Yeah, that's
because we see out here.
That's what I'm telling you, that a whole lot of people, just like people don't go to, except when they are sick, when they are down. They don't go for checkup. Ideally, one should check his or her eyes once every year. And we also association, we create awareness on this, especially during the World Glaucoma Week, during the World Sight Day, and also some of our state chapters also once in a while organize programs that create awareness on the need to have your eyes examined.
Okay. I don't know how much of it you to observe too. These days, especially when it's this raining season, you find people either actually park their cars for those who cannot go further, and for those who still struggle, you see them and also. Is that decide to during rainy season? How should people help themselves?
Yeah, during rainy season, especially if you drive, of course, you know that the weather actually once it changes and it's raining, you have to wind up your glasses. When you wind up your glasses, of course, there will not be airflow, and that could cause the place to be kind of cloudy, and the visibility will reduce. And once visibility is reduced, you need to open up. Except if your car is air conditioned, if you put on your air conditioner, at least you should be able to see very well. But even in severe rainy condition, it's advisable for one to park because at that rate the visibility is very poor. And if you happen to be somebody that has poor vision already, compounded by cloudy vision or cloudy weather.
Double jeopardy.
Yeah, of course, it's double jeopardy. So it's expected that you should park.
And for those who want to use their full light and other some oncoming vehicles and all, so I know people who actually are challenged in that way as well. Yeah, that's night vision.
Yeah, night vision. Also, that's what we call glare. Okay. Glare can reduce. Affect one's visibility. Of course, you see oncoming vehicle. They're with headlamp on. Some people are very sensitive to light. Some people are very also sensitive to glare. So we also advise. There are also things that we make available, like your lenses. If you are the type that use lenses, we can also provide what we call anti-glare lenses that help to cut out those scattering of. Because what actually happens is scattering of light that dazzles the eyes, that prevents one from seeing properly.
Okay, gentlemen, doctor. So we must go now. So last, at least more like on that advice when they do have eye problems. I know you've already started talking, visit your optometrist, visit your eye care. What exactly or who and how should they first contact once this vision starts going for them?
You still visit your optometrist, visit your eye doctor. He will be the one to really advise you on the best way. Don't self-medicate, and let the doctor be the one to guide you properly, because he knows better. Your doctor is not your enemy. Your doctor is actually your friend.
Maybe it's the scale of how much you are going to charge. That is always the scale for most people.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier about the project we have. Yes. My Sight, My Right, which we initiated in March, and we are kind of offering free services to children between the age of 5 to 15. And having great access, and it's out there. We encourage, it actually takes place every last Friday of the month, from March this year to December.
So anywhere across the country,
optometrist-led eye clinic.
Yeah, they are identified clinics. And if you go to our website, www.noaang.org, you should be able to have
so ages 5 to 15.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm out of the group. Thank you very much, Dr. Echendu, Damien Echendu, who is the National President, Nigerian Optometric Association. Thank you for coming on Nigeria today. We also like to appreciate Dr. Eke Okechukwu, also an optometrist. Also, we appreciate you for watching. At least your sight is good. That's why you can see us. But make sure you keep them intact and make sure that your right to sight is what you care for at the end of the day. Thank you.
to Abuja, the capital of the country. Here you will discover Nigeria's religious and cultural diversity, while enjoying the many international hotels offering first-rate hospitality and top-of-the-class business facilities. Step into the exciting city of Lagos, a place where tradition and modernity come together. Considered Africa's own Big Apple, the city is home to luxurious hotels and some of the best shops and restaurants in the country. Enjoy the unique nightlife and thriving music scene of one of the most vibrant cities on earth. Rediscover relaxation in Nigeria's southern state of Akwa Ibom. Enjoy the finest hospitality at Le Méridien Hotel and Golf Resort, where the lush greens of the world-class 18-hole golf course and its unique location in the middle of the jungle will ensure a lifetime of memories. Discover the beautiful city of Calabar, capital of the Cross River State, a lovely and peaceful place located on the southeast coast. Immerse yourself in the local traditions and get in touch with Nigeria's rich cultural history through the many festivals around the country. Take a trip through the mountain forest, where the Obudu Mountain Resort plays host to luxury travelers and some of the most important conventions in Africa. And pay a visit to the Alpha Mountain Wildlife Reserve, a rainforest sanctuary where you can see some of the most endangered species alive. A country with 170 million people. Africa's biggest market. Extraordinary. Fascinating. Nigeria.
A very good morning to you and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24, broadcast live from Abuja. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji.
And I'm Comfort Amadou. Thank you for joining us. First, let's take the headlines.
To review the strategy that we are adopting in confronting the security issues in Zamfara State, especially.
President Buhari orders security chiefs to put an end to various acts of crime and criminality in Zamfara and other parts of the country.
Federal government cautions Atiku Abubakar against heating up the polity in the name of seeking redress.
No doubt that the failed PDP presidential candidate, out of desperation, is thinking of replicating the Venezuelan model right here in Nigeria.
Minister of Transportation gives directive for the full takeoff of the Itakpe-Warri-Ajokuta rail line.
It's now that they've not been paid for some time, so we really need to look forward to pay them.
And revenue mobilization in Africa under scrutiny at ongoing World Bank and IMF meeting in Washington, D.C.
Poverty alleviation, that shared prosperity are key goals of what the World Bank should be doing, but also what nations around the world should be trying to do.
We'll start the news at this moment with the security matters. The security agencies of the country have been given marching orders to do whatever it takes towards putting an immediate end to the various acts of crime and criminality in Zamfara and other parts of the country.
President Muhammadu Buhari issued the orders at a strategic meeting with the service chiefs and heads of other security in his office. State House correspondent Adam Musambo has details.
Although President Muhammadu Buhari has been meeting the security chiefs almost on a weekly basis, this particular one was in response to the prevailing sense of fear, insecurity, as well as uncertainty in parts of the country, which he described as intolerable. At the strategic meeting held behind closed doors, where the Minister of Defense, service chiefs led by the Chief of Defense Staff, Acting Inspector General of Police, as well as Director General of the Department of State Services and the National Intelligence Agency. Also in attendance include the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Gida Mustafa.
The security meeting we've just had with Mr. President is to review the strategy that we are adopting in confronting the security issues in Zamfara State especially, and other places nationwide. And this review strategy is to address all the issues including kidnapping, banditry, and other associated issues confronting the nation.
During the meeting, which lasted about 2 hours, President Muhammadu Buhari expressed serious concern over the heightened tension amongst Nigerians following renewed hostilities by criminal elements that constantly threaten lives and livelihoods. This, he warned, must be brought to an end for peace to reign supreme in the land.
The marching order is for us to deal with this issue immediately and ruthlessly and ensure that all those bandits are immediately dealt with, and all those issues that are bordering with our security are properly addressed.
On his part, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, is assuring Nigerians that solutions have been found to the acts of kidnapping along Abuja-Kaduna Road.
I want to assure Nigerians that Kaduna-Abuja Road is now safe. We have cleared the road. We've arrested a lot of the kidnappers, and in confrontation with some of them, some were fatally injured. So the road is cleared. Our patrol teams, the combined security services that are patrolling the road are there constantly 24 hours.
The acting IGP has just returned from the northwest Nigeria on a fact-finding mission. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And the Nigerian military, for operational purposes, recently relocated communities in Kaga and Kunduga local government areas of Borno State to internally displaced persons camps.
To address the concerns raised by the action, Governor Kashim Shettima is in Abuja for meetings with some heads of security agencies. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
Considering the evolving and complex nature of security threats in the Northeast, deliberations were held behind closed doors. Top on the agenda is the recent spate of attacks and issues surrounding the relocation of communities to avoid collateral damages that may occur in the ongoing Operation Yenchin Tapki involving the Nigerian military and the multinational joint task force. Addressing journalists, the Minister of Defense, Mansour Dan Ali, expressed government's commitment to ensure safety of lives and property across the country.
You cannot uproot somebody from his village because of operation. You know, we had two means of dealing with insurgency. You have the hard approach and the political approach. The political approach is where you take people along, where you call them winning the hearts and minds of the populace. Then the other one, the hard approach, is the military approach, which we've been doing. And politically, I think we are looking into that. We are going to have a security brief. I'll brief the council on the issue and we'll come to a common understanding.
And has appreciated the depth of our feeling and has promised to address those issues before the week runs out.
After a similar meeting with the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, Governor Kashim Shettima expressed confidence and satisfaction on measures to address issues raised.
We have come to him and he has spontaneously addressed our concerns, and we remain eternally grateful to officers and men of the Nigerian Army for all the sacrifices they have made. My concerns have been laid to rest.
The governor was also at the headquarters, Department of State Services, for a similar mission. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to impress on security agencies the need to be proactive in curbing security breaches in some parts of the country. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
And the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, says plans are underway to establish a military formation in Kogi State to stem criminal activities and any form of insurgency in the confluent state.
Udoja reports that towards this end, a delegation of the Army Chief was in the state to inspect the project sites.
Kogi State, at a point in time, was bedeviled with several cases of farmers' herdsmen clashes, banditry, kidnapping, and other forms of crimes, which has given the state negative image in the media. It is as a result of these and in line with the federal government commitment to tackling the menace that informed the decision of Nigerian Army to establish a military formation known as 109 Special Forces Battalion Barrack in Okene, the central part of the state. Major General Ademo Adekusalio, who led the delegation on inspection of the location, met the Ohinoi of Ibiraland, Alhaji Ado Ibrahim, to intimate him on the essence of the visit to the area. The delegation thereafter inspected facilities at the Force Operational Base, Government Secondary and Okene Secondary Schools to ascertain the convenience of the areas.
The approval for barrack has been granted already, and what we're here for is just to put effect to that approval so it can be sure that it will be as soon as possible.
The delegation was earlier received by the Secretary to the state government and other government functionaries where they were intimated on the purpose of the visit. The delegation is expected to report back to the Chief of Army Staff. From Okene, I am Francis Udojo, NTA News.
And still talking security, the Nigerian Air Force is tackling the nation's security challenges by deploying its platforms to contain insecurity in Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara and Birnin Gwari in Kaduna states through effective projection of air power. The
Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, stated this in a message to the inauguration of projects in NAF Base, Kaduna. Ibrahim Bello Gunda reports.
The provision of infrastructure, renovation and upgrade of existing quarters by Nigerian Air Force is part of the strategies to actualize the policy thrust of the force towards operational efficiency. The newly inaugurated project at Nigerian Air Force Base Mondo are 2 blocks of 21-bedroom accommodation facility for students of Regiment Training Center, 3 blocks of 10 rooms each for cadets of Military Training Center and renovated Air Police School.
The Nigerian Air Force is doing a lot
in support of the ongoing counterinsurgency operations as well as other security challenges nationwide. We are also working hand in hand with the Nigeria police and other agencies.
The chief of the SAP is on the right course to bequeath a better equipped, highly motivated and operational effective service that will continue to make the nation proud.
In addition to provision of projects, the Nigerian Air Force says it is committed to human capacity development through robust and result-oriented training to its personnel for effective fight against insecurity. In Kaduna, Ibrahim Bello Gunda, NTA News.
And still on security, following the achievements of Operation Puff Adder in northwest and north-central Nigeria,
senior police officers converge on Abuja to examine ways of putting an end to other forms of criminality in the country. Chimobi Walter Naji was there.
It is no longer news that there has been an upsurge in criminal activities across the country since the conclusion of the 2019 elections. These crimes, ranging from kidnapping, insurgency and armed banditry in different states across the country, gave rise to the introduction of an operational response team codenamed Operation Puff Adder on the 5th of April 2019. Few days after the introduction of the Operation Puff Adder, how has it tackled crime across the country? That is what this high-level meeting of senior police officers in Abuja tends to evaluate.
Consequently, I charge you all, as you return to your various commands, to renew your sense of commitment to duty and demonstrate requisite professional leadership needed to roll back the current unacceptable trend of crimes in your commands.
For criminals to be completely degraded, the meeting highlighted the need for improved synergy with other security agencies, improved community policing strategy, as this will boost public confidence in the system. The Inspector General of Police further charged the senior officers to brace up to the challenges of the times and look for creative ways of handling security challenges in their areas. In Abuja, Chimobi Walter Naji, NTA News.
And Zamfara State Council of Chiefs has applauded the federal government's renewed commitment to address the prevailing security challenges that have bedeviled the state.
And this forms part of a 7-point communique issued at the end of the council emergency meeting held in Gusau. Jamilu Ibrahim has to report.
The emergency meeting of the Zamfara State Council of Chiefs, presided over by its chairman, the Emir of Anka Alhaji Tahiru Muhammad Ahmad, deliberated on the prevailing security situation in the state and the commitments of the relevant stakeholders in addressing the issue.
The council appreciated the presidential marching order given to the security agencies to immediately bring an end to the situation once and for all. It noted, however, that this can only be achieved if the main camps of the bandits are taking over and security personnel stationed there for a considerable period of time.
The communique signed by the council chairman, however, advocated for measures to guard against cases of inadvertent attack on innocent citizens by the security personnel during the operations.
The council noted that air strikes undertaken by the military do not hit main camps of the bandits. Recent reports from Mutu, in Gusau and Safi Emirates local governments, in Tangaram, in Anka local government, and Dumburum village in Zulmi local government, among others, indicated that the areas shelled were not actual hideouts of bandits, and the victims were mostly innocent civilians.
The council has also expressed shock and concern over a story credited to the Minister of Defense Mansour Dan Ali, which alleged that royal fathers in the state are supporting the bandits.
The council expressed its dismay with the statement of our minister and called on him as a matter of responsibility and urgency to name the traditional rulers involved in such reprehensible activities, for government to take appropriate actions against them.
The council reiterated its continued support and cooperation to any measure put in place by the government aimed at achieving a lasting peace in the state. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Mr. Liman Ibrahim Alhaji as the Controller General of the Federal Federal Fire Service. A statement by the Secretary, Civil Defense, Fire, Immigration and Prison Service Board Al-Hassan Yakmut says the appointment, which took effect from the 26th of March this year, is for an initial term of 4 years and is subject to the extant rules and regulations governing the retirement in the public service. Liman Ibrahim Aleji is from Niger State and holds a master's degree in public administration from the University of Calabar. He is also a fellow of the Royal Institute of Public Administration in the United Kingdom.
And you're still watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. More news ahead. Do stay with us.
Come down here, bring in the radio.
Can I have one chicken?
Sure, no problem.
One chicken, I said. All for me? All for you. Wow!
Spend less to enjoy more during this season with StarTimes Easter Upgrade. Nova subscribers get upgraded to Basic or Smart Bouquet by just paying 2 months recharge. Also, Basic and Smart subscribers get upgraded to Classic or Super Bouquet by just paying 2 months recharge, while existing Classic or Super Bouquet subscribers will enjoy 2 months when they pay just 1.5 months. The more you recharge, the more you get. Promo runs from April 1st to May 15th. Terms and conditions apply. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Glad to have you back. Now, Minister of Transportation Rotimi Chiwike Amechi has directed that the Nigerian Railway operation to commence full-scale commercial activities on the Itakpe-Warri-Ajokuta rail line and in the 5 months free train ride to passengers on the axis.
The minister who gave this directive while inspecting the ongoing construction of stations disclosed that about $3 billion is needed to link the rail project from Itakpe to Abuja. Uyinaya Kalu Oka reports.
Handshakes of gratitude from community leaders in Abo to the Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi in appreciation for the fast pace of work at the Itakpe-Warri-Ajokuta rail line project that was abandoned for more than 30 years.
No,
the minister, while inspecting the nearly completed 12 modern stations, was happy that the project will soon take off, as 80% of the work has been completed. But he was quite unpleased with the slow pace of work at the stations, which he attributed to lack of fund.
I'm delighted that it's functioning. I'm delighted they're carrying passengers. They say they carry an average of 100 passengers in a day, which means we need to do more. We're going to have financial problems. They're all reporting now that they've not been paid for some time, so we really need to look for money to pay them.
Linking Itakpe, Lokoja, Abuja, people can carefully ride the train from Warri to Kaduna.
The Itakpe-Ajokuta Warri Rail project is a massive one, covering about 3 states of Edo, Delta and Kogi. And we're here in Abo Station, which is one of the main stations. And as you can see, work is ongoing here, creating employment for hundreds of people.
Around this place before, everywhere was bushy. But toward the benefit of itself that we have on this project today, you will see that everything is very looking fine.
Running through more than 40 communities in the 3 states, the project is expected to transport passengers along the axis, steel from Ajokuta as well as foodstuff from the south to other parts of the country. For about 5 months, the Itakpe-Warri-Ajokuta rail line has been on a test run, taking passengers for free. More than 2,000 passengers so far have been transported in the 49 trips. Uyinaya Kaloka, NTA News.
And on other stories, public finance management and in particular revenue mobilization in sub-Saharan Africa came under scrutiny Thursday at the annual meeting of the World Bank and the IMF in Washington, D.C. Our stakeholders discussed challenges ahead and advance broader global development agenda. Leah Katimbe-Batunde in this report presents the views, concerns and suggestions for Nigeria.
The picture painted by the president of the World Bank, David Malpass, is not a good one for a large portion of countries, especially in Africa. By the year 2030, nearly 9 in 10 extremely poor people will be Africans, and half the world's poor will be living in fragile and conflict-affected settings. Losing up more capital geared towards improving growth in countries currently experiencing a slowdown with prudent fiscal management is very imperative for the vision, with the World Bank President calling for urgent action by individual countries in combating poverty.
That we share a common view that poverty alleviation, that shared prosperity are key goals of what the World Bank should be doing, but also what nations around the world should be trying to do.
For the IMF, the key is multiple policies that are country-specific, and Madame Lagarde emphasized the outcome of the fund's Article 4 consultancy in Nigeria, which suggests doing away with fuel subsidy.
No less than about $5.2 trillion that are spent on fuel subsidies and the consequences thereof. And the Fiscal Affairs Department has actually identified, how much would have been saved fiscally, but also in terms of human life, if there had been the right price on carbon emission as of 2015.
She went ahead to point out that low revenue concerns in Nigeria that has seen low tax to GDP ratio persist, if not tackled, will affect investment in health, education and infrastructure. Washington, D.C. I'm Leah Kating, Babatunde, NTA News.
Nigerian's Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed says the federal government is taking the advice of the IMF in its Article 4 consultation with Nigeria to phase out implicit fuel subsidies while strengthening social safety nets. The minister stated this while speaking about her engagement with officials of the World Bank and the IMF at the spring meetings in Washington.
I would say it's good advice, but also we have to implement it in a manner that is both successful as well as sustainable. We are not in a situation to wake up one day and just remove subsidy. We have to educate the people. We have to show the Nigerian citizens what the replacements for those subsidies will be. So we have a lot of work to do, and we also need to understand that you don't remove subsidies large amounts in one go, that it has to be graduated, and the public has to be well informed on what you're trying to do. We are asking the World Bank in particular to review some of the new initiatives that they have put in place, an initiative that involves them looking at implementation systems when they are providing funding for infrastructure. What we have found in Nigeria is that the ESS that they have put in place is causing significant delays in the rollout of infrastructure. We understand that is well intended, but we've informed them that they need to review how they implement it so that we're not overtly slowed down because of the new procedures.
The minister was also part of the G24 ministers meeting where effective public debt and cash management, global slowdown, and the need to build more fiscal buffers dominated discussions.
Now, the federal government has renewed its commitment to its gas flare-out target by 2020.
Minister of State, Petroleum Resources Emmanuel Ibe-Kachukwu said this in recognition of the benefits that can be harnessed from flared gas to stimulate economic growth and in the environmental protection energy. Correspondent Lady Sampson reports.
Flaring releases methane, a greenhouse gas that traps heat in the atmosphere. Flaring contributes to global warming and has negative impact on the health and environment of people who live near a flared well. In its resolve to consolidate on the policy position of the federal government that gas flaring is unacceptable, President Muhammadu Buhari gave a marching order. This, Emmanuel Ibe-Kachukwu says, necessitated the setting up of 2 committees to take the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program to the next level.
The important thing is that the sudden realization that we're serious about this and we're going to move on and we're going to somebody asked me what happens to 2020. The truth is that after 2020, the issues of flare will no longer be issues of just penalty payments. It will be a license to operate issue. Whether or not you can continue to operate in a manner in which you're basically doing things that are hazardous to the environment. So everybody understands that the president has given marching orders on this, and it's now showtime, really.
The minister said it is time to move Nigeria from the burning of firewood to more gas utilization as part of efforts to mitigate the hazards of gas flaring. With over 800 expressions of interest from companies looking to get involved in the initiative, the chairman steering committee, Rabiu Suleiman, and other members says gas flaring in Nigeria will be drastically reduced in due course. They are also optimistic of more jobs in the Niger Delta, which is expected to have ripple effects across Nigeria as a whole. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
All right, so it's time now for our second promo for the day. News continues in just a moment. Do stay with us. State, the federal government's economic policies in the past 4 years are judged as progressive as African Development Bank AFDB approves $4.8 million for the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement implementation. Details on Business News with Joy Uzo.
We'll start with a report from the African Development Bank, AFDB, where it approved an institutional support grant of $4.8 million to the African Union to accelerate the momentum of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. The AFCFTA received its 22nd ratification on April 2, bringing the agreement into force. Nigeria has, however, been assessing the impact the AFCFTA would have on its economy before consenting to the agreement. The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AFCFTA, is a major force for continental integration aimed at expanding intra-African trade by up to $35 billion per year and ushering in freedom of movement for goods, services, and people across the continent's internal borders. The agreement, which comes with a regime of reduced tariffs and non-tariff barriers to cut the cost of doing business on the continent, is also aimed at boosting agriculture and industrial exports by up to $66 billion per year. And still on boosting ease of doing business, back here in Nigeria, policies like the Executive Order 1, which aims at improving on transparency and Nigeria's business environment, experts say, has come with far-reaching initiatives implemented by the various ministries, departments, and agencies that has opened up the country's business environment. Now, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council is another initiative a stakeholder. Umana Okon Umana said, has taken away administrative hurdles investors often grapple with, and emphasized that the Ease of Doing Business initiative has almost removed most constraints of doing business in Nigeria, as evident in various rankings by global business organizations, where Nigeria has moved up on the ladder. Mr. Umana, however, made entreaties to government to improve the state of infrastructure in free zones in the country.
When I took over as managing director, the free zone was virtually inaccessible. The road was so badly broken down, trucks were falling every day. So, and it didn't make sense. The work done on the roads, I believe, is only temporary, because what we really need should be maybe a 12-lane road leading into that port and into that free zone, so that trucks can have their own dedicated lanes. So, in the long term, that is really what we need. And of course, all of our ports and free zones should be connected by rail.
Now to equities, Nigerian Stock Exchange recorded a positive outcome in Thursday's trading as the all-share index appreciated by 0.53% to close at 29,347.62 basis points. Next is a graphic representation of the closing figures.
The stock market report wraps business news at this time. Many thanks for your time. I'm Joy Uzo.
Innovation and technology must be prioritized if Nigeria is to join the League of Advanced Countries in terms of socio-economic development.
This was the submission of speakers at the Callistus Juma Innovation Colloquium held in Lagos. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said the Buhari administration is already harvesting tremendous benefits in technology and innovation to advance the nation's economy. Jane Ojukwu reports.
Nigeria, like many other African countries, is faced with critical challenges of unemployment, climate change, and poor healthcare delivery. Research shows that technology and innovation hold the key to some of these problems, as cost reduction and productivity enhancement have all been associated with these all-important tools. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who spoke on the theme, Africa's New Culture of Innovation, stated that power, agriculture, and telecommunication, among other sectors, are already feeling the impact of innovative and technological initiatives of the federal government.
But these challenges have peaked, in my view, at an auspicious time, a time when technology and innovation have begun to disrupt older and slower ways of achieving results. And for Africa, a time when its young innovators, digital scientists, and creatives have emerged with such resourcefulness and creativity. There is no question that Africa's future will be determined by innovation.
The Callistus Juma Innovation Colloquium was organized in honor of the late Professor Callistus Juma, whose efforts in entrenching innovation in various African economic sectors contributed to the rise of innovation on the continent.
We don't have any choice but to turn to technology to help us overcome those challenges and take advantage of that youth bulge, make it a competitive tool, and actually gain a demographic dividend from the youth bulge rather than it becoming a source of crisis, which can very easily become.
There is a need for other sectors, private sector in particular, to get involved. Okay, and we were advocating that an innovation fund be put together.
There was a panel discussion on various initiatives in Africa. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
And 10 employees of the State House, Nigeria's seat of government, have been formally recognized and rewarded for outstanding performance in their assigned responsibilities.
Now, this was at an award ceremony organized by the Servicom unit of the State House, where the Permanent Secretary, Jalal Arabi, spoke on the need for unalloyed loyalty and commitment of the staff to the ideals of the next level agenda. Correspondent Adam Musambo reports.
Amongst the award recipients were Yashim Nuhu, a senior motor driver mechanic for enviable sense of dedication to duty, and Gwaza Habila, a principal catering officer who catered for, amongst other prominent state guests, the British monarch Queen Elizabeth II. Mrs. Margaret Arigu was also rewarded for being very professional, courteous, and respectful to clients at the State House Clinic, where she served for 23 years. Congratulating the recipients, the Permanent Secretary of the State House, Jalal Arabi, urged the staff to remain loyal, dedicated, and focused towards ensuring that the State House maintains its pride of place as the premier Servicom MDA in the country.
It is indeed my desire that this award will engender all of us to keep delivering our best at all times.
Reduce to the barest minimum mediocrity in the process and in the system. Uphold excellence. Do the right things and discard those things that are not right.
Introduced in 2004, Servicom entails the provision of basic services to which citizens of Nigeria are entitled to in a timely, fair, honest, effective, and transparent manner. From the State House, Adam Musambo, NTA News.
And Senate has confirmed the appointment of 3 persons as career ambassadors designate.
Its Committee on Foreign Affairs screened the nominees and described them as well experienced and of good conduct. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo reports.
Initially, it was uncertain if Thursday's plenary was going to hold because of the announcement by Chief Whip that the Senate did not meet quorum. Shortly, the uncertainty gave way and Senate President Bukola Saraki proceeded with business of the day. The first item for consideration on the order paper was that of the report of its Committee on Foreign Affairs on the screening and confirmation of 3 nominees from Mr. President as ambassadors designate.
All the nominees appeared before the committee and were duly screened in the line with perimeters set down for the exercise.
On behalf of the third colleagues, the 8th Senate, let me congratulate the 3 new career ambassador designate and wish them a successful tenure, continue to work for our great country.
6 nominees were also confirmed as members of the Board of National Bureau of Statistics, with Kabiru Nakaura as chairman. Senate passed the Education National Minimum Standard and Establishment of Institutions Amendment Bill, while the bill for the establishment of the Federal University of Education, Science and Agriculture, Ogoniland, River State, sponsored by Senator Magnus Abe, was passed for second reading.
The Education Minimum Standard Act is a 1985 legislation which combined regulatory functions of the National University Commission, National Board for Technical Education Commission, and National Commission for Colleges of Education.
We cater for the scientific and agricultural science development of the Niger Delta region.
They will have the opportunity of addressing the environmental challenges around not only Ogoniland, but also through the Niger Delta.
Senator Shehu Sani, as a matter of personal opinion, urged the federal government and all Nigerians to intensify efforts towards rescuing Leah Sharibu and the other Chibok girls, especially through dialogue.
Efforts have actually been made by the government, but it has not been able to provide the necessary result.
Senate has received the report of its Committee on Power on the Electric Power Sector Reform Amendment Bill from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The federal government has cautioned former Vice President and the PDP presidential candidate in the Federal Region 3rd presidential election, Atiku Abubakar, to toe the path of honor and patriotism, rather than heating up the polity in the name of seeking redress.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this at a media briefing in Abuja. Anthony Fulton reports.
Recently, posters of former Vice President and the PDP presidential candidate in the February 23rd presidential election surfaced on the streets of Abuja. It is in response to this that the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, flanked by the Senior Special Assistant Media and Publicity to the President, Malam Garba Shehu, wondered if Atiku Abubakar has embarked on a fresh campaign, but noted that media reports have it that Atiku Abubakar has engaged the services of a U.S. lobbyist firm to convince the United States government not to recognize President Muhammadu Buhari until the Supreme Court rules on the suit filed by the PDP presidential candidate.
What Alhaji Abubakar Atiku is up to? Is he starting a fresh campaign after the elections have been won and lost? Has he rescinded his decision to challenge the results of the presidential election in court? Perhaps after realizing that the results he claimed to have obtained from the INEC-backed servers are cooked? Is he now going for self-help? What really is Atiku's motive?
The minister maintained that President Muhammadu Buhari won the election fair and square and called on Atiku not to be deluded.
There's no doubt that the fair PDP presidential candidate, out of desperation, is thinking of replicating the Venezuelan model right here in Nigeria. But you should realize that Nigeria is not Venezuela and that the situations in both countries are not the same.
Pointing at President Muhammadu Buhari's pro-poor policies as a huge success which fueled his re-election, the minister said Atiku Abubakar should take solace in the fate that has befallen him.
He should stop overheating the polity and quit trying to instigate a political crisis in Nigeria. No citizen, no matter how highly placed, is above the laws of the land. Enough is enough.
In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Residents of 14 communities, including Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, are to enjoy irregular pipe-borne water to reduce their hardship.
Governor Kayode Fayemi says the project is estimated to cost about 3 billion naira. Kola Adegbuyi reports.
Water, they say, is life, and as a basic necessity of life, potable water had been underserved in Ado-Ekiti metropolis owing to population explosion, which is why the state government came up with the initiative of the 251-kilometer water pipeline extension distribution network through the third National Urban Water Sector Reform Project Works component to address the identified gap. The project, which will cost the state government over 3 billion naira, when completed, will enable the affected communities in the state capital to meet their water demand, as access to clean water is fundamental to good hygiene and eradication of waterborne diseases.
The objective behind this project is to allow more people to have access to uninterrupted potable water supply in our state.
Residents of the benefiting communities believe the gesture will go a long way in alleviating their suffering.
We ensure the proper management of this laudable project.
The project is expected to be completed for inauguration within 18 months. In Ado-Ekiti, Kola Adegbuyi, NTA News.
The FCT administration has directed its relevant agencies to review and harmonize all operational guidelines on land administration to checkmate racketeering and incessant cases of multiple land allocations in the nation's capital.
This was during a retreat in Abuja to address grey areas of land administration in the Federal Capital Territory. Mitari Ikwen reports.
Land allocation and administration in the nation's capital is not only one of the most important functions of the FCT administration, but also one of the most contentious. In recent years, the FCTA has incurred about 400 million naira on litigations arising from double or multiple land allocations to Nigerians by previous administrations. FCTA Permanent Secretary Chinyaka Oha at this retreat says steps are being taken to avoid the mistakes of the past and make necessary compensation.
There are some fraudsters that are in land that continue to sell people's property. But anybody that is having a genuine title document, even if it is multiple allocation, we have the responsibility now to make sure that he's given an alternative.
Almost 90% of those issues were inherited issues. But with the creation of ages and computerization of the land registry, right, allocations have been computerized.
If one is able to reduce corruption to the barest minimum, the other challenges can be surmounted.
A harmonized operational manual that will streamline the functions of various FCT agencies involved in land administration is one of the expected outcomes of this retreat. In Abuja, Mitari Ikwen, NTA News.
About 300,000 national driver's licenses remain unclaimed by applicants across the country. Co-Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps Boboe Oyeyemi announced this at the general overview of the National Driver's Licensing Scheme in Abuja. Oyeyemi Ajayi has the report.
In order to ensure compliance of the Nigerian Highway Code and reduce road accidents on the roads, the Federal Road Safety Corps is emphasizing the need for drivers yet to claim their driver's licenses to visit their state's motor vehicle administration offices for pickup, stressing that the driver's license is a key requirement for a driver's eligibility to be on the road.
Some people don't remember that their license expires on their birthday. We don't have any backlog again. They have cleared all the backlogs. But go to the state office, licensing offices. All over the country, the licenses are there, not claimed. Some are expiring there.
The FRSC is planning to upload information about produced licenses on its website, which is expected to give Nigerians information, particularly on the issue of driver's licenses. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
The Medical and Dental Council Tribunal sitting in Abuja has convicted 2 out of the 14 doctors standing trial before it. Aisha Uba Ali reports that the cases of other medical doctors have also been adjourned for hearing.
In the last few days, Medical and Dental Council Tribunal has been sitting to hear the cases against 14 doctors whose complaints were presented to it either by the victims or their relatives. The tribunal found 2 of the doctors guilty of the charges against them. They are Jamila Muhammad, who is suspended for 6 months from practice for gross negligence, incompetence, and infamous behavior, while Nasir Ibrahim was also suspended for 3 months, also on the grounds of professional negligence. The prosecuting counsel, however, withdrew the charges against one doctor, Henry Ogboli. Reason for the withdrawal was not disclosed.
Well, there are all various hospitals in Nigeria. There are some from Asaba, some from Sokoto Kebi, there are some from Gombe, Jos, there are some from Enugu, there are some from Lagos, and some from Abuja here. There are various of them.
Well, largely with regards to section 29, 29.4a, 29.4h, and 30, 31, and so on like that. Basically, those charges.
Meanwhile, the tribunal has adjourned its proceedings to a later date to be communicated to the parties. 11 other doctors are standing trial for alleged professional misconduct and negligence. In Abuja, Aisha Oba Ali, NTA News.
All right, thank you, Aisha. Now, this is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Here is a quick reminder of some of our top stories once again.
Review the strategy that we are adopting in confronting the security issues in Zamfara State, especially.
President Buhari orders security chiefs to put an end to various acts of crime and criminality in Zamfara and other parts of the country.
Federal government cautions Atiku Abubakar against heating up the polity in the name of seeking redress.
No doubt that the failed PDP candidate, out of desperation, is thinking of replicating the Venezuelan model right here in Nigeria.
Free train ride ends on the Itakwe-Warri-Ajakuta rail line. Transportation Minister gives directive for the commencement of full commercial activities.
So we need to look forward to pay them.
Plus, revenue mobilization and Africa under scrutiny as ongoing World Bank and IMF meeting in Washington, D.C.
Poverty alleviation, that shared prosperity are key goals of what the World Bank should be doing, but also what nations around the world should be trying to do.
This is NTA News 24.
And now let's take our sports. The FIFA Women's World Cup trophy tour touches down in Abuja, and Nigeria to know group on Friday ahead of the